The first thing you want to do when using food is teach your puppy how to take the treat out of your hand. Some puppies won't find the treat very quickly, so if you're trying to train them something, then it interferes with the training. So make sure that they can find the treat immediately and eat it. Also, if you're going to be using treats on the floor, teach your puppy to find the treat. I like to use a pointing gesture to help them out if they can't find it. Good job. With young puppies or new rescue dogs, I don't like to use the lure right near their face to begin with, because what happens is you get the dog frustrated and trying to get the treat out of your hand. So I suggest instead luring the dog from a distance up above at first. It really depends on your puppy's personality as to what behaviors you'll work on first. If you have a puppy that's very shy and reserved, I don't suggest working on that game, which is no mugging, where you get the puppy to back away from your hand and then reinforce. Instead, I suggest teaching that puppy, if they're worried about hands, to touch your fingers and receive a treat for that. So I'll link a tutorial on how to train that. That is a great exercise for puppies that are a little bit worried and reserved, as well as teaching the puppy to like handling. So conditioning handling to be something positive as one of the first things you work on with your puppy. If your puppy's not that interested in food, I don't suggest working on leave it exercises right away. Instead, I suggest working on attention games, recall, things where your exercises where your puppy is running towards you and being reinforced with food. If your puppy doesn't seem that interested in food, I suggest one of the first games that you play is an attention game where you're motivating your puppy to want to move towards you and move towards the food rather than a no mugging or a leave it game. Are you ready?
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Good. I just thought I'd put her up while we're waiting for everyone to join.
It's never a bad time to watch some Emily.
Oh, I love Emily. She's amazing.
Yeah, good stuff.
Especially puppy stuff. She's really, really good with calm puppy stuff.
Yeah.
So.
It's good applied stuff. I think they're short videos, they're practical, they're easy to follow, positive. Yeah, hard to go wrong.
Anyone watching? I can never tell because it only shows up if I get little notices. So
I have it on my phone so I can see if anyone asks questions online. I don't know whether it's different on your page though, whether you have different comments or questions come up on your feed, on your page. I don't know.
Look, I'll pull it up and see what I can find. So how is everyone this week, I wonder? It's a bit of an interesting week, not knowing what we're doing in the coming weeks. Hi, Stephanie. Yay, someone is here. we're not doing this to no one.
Talking to ourselves. No. Not that there's anything wrong with chatting dog training with you.
No. Well, quite often there's random afternoon conversations, but
yeah,
you get live and you're like, what are we going to talk about? But we did have a bit of a chat beforehand, which was awesome. And Sandy says she'll keep her mouth shut. And Carol says, hello, hi, everyone. Don't keep your mouth shut. We like mouths open. I'll turn this video off. So we decided that we're going to talk about puppies tonight, which is pretty exciting. So we obviously wanted to start right from the start. And I was kind of saying to Laura, like, such a massive checklist that you have to go through when you're selecting a dog. First one was choosing a breeder. So obviously this is the most
choosing important. A breed.
Choosing a breed and a breeder. Yeah. Here, choosing the right dog.
Yes, so, right breed for you.
That one's a bit of a loaded question though, isn't it? Because it's like, well, what breed should we get for our family? What breed suits our lifestyle? Can we afford grooming? Are they, prone to certain injuries or hereditary disorders? Obviously, you don't want to go into having a puppy being negative, but you've got to take into account all the things that could happen and whether you're prepared to take them on as well, I guess. So, choosing the right dog and breed. There's actually some some sites around that have like you put in what your lifestyle is, what your expectations are, and then it comes up with a random breed. Some of them are pretty crazy thoughts, but they are pretty good.
Yeah, I even if it just prompts owners to ask themselves some questions of things they might not have considered. So some of the questions, I did them years and years ago when I was initially, I think, looking at getting Lily. So over 13 years ago now. And it was things like size of your yard, your energy level, how long you're going to spend on grooming, what you can afford to, the cost of food for a giant breed versus a small breed, and worming and fleeing, and whether you can afford insurance if they're a breed that's known to have a lot of health issues. So many things, energy level, understanding the breed. Like obviously the behaviour of a Cavalier King Charles is going to be different to some German Shepherd or Malinois. So you're looking for a land shark piranha or a lazy kind of couch potato. So I think, and what prompted me to want to have this conversation tonight is just a few phone calls I've had this week from clients that have bought breeds and then been a little bit shocked, I guess, with the behaviour. And maybe if they'd done a bit of research on the breed first, might have had a bit more of an understanding of what to expect. All puppies are going to be hard work, but obviously different breeds, and knowing about your lifestyle and all those other factors. So if anyone's got any questions about choosing a breed, if they haven't got a puppy yet, feel free to ask.
And I guess there's quite a few, misconceptions about I want to get a high energy dog because I want to start running. It's like, well, you probably wouldn't get a high energy dog unless you are a runner already.
Yeah.
But also take into account that the dog won't be ready for running for at least 12 to 18 months. Because they're not, they're not ready to. You can do a lot of damage to a puppy if you run them right from the start. So,
choosing a dog for your lifestyle now rather than what you would love your lifestyle to be moving forward. Because, I guess we all do that. Going, I'm going to buy a wardrobe for when I'm a size 10. Well, might not ever happen. So maybe I should buy a wardrobe for the size I am now. So rather
back into that one day.
But rather than going, I'm going to buy a Kelpie because I'm going to take up running, 40 kilometres a week or something over the course of the week, then might not happen. So,
yeah. And also I find that the, the working breeds, they're getting brought into these suburban areas and they're not getting the stimulation they need. Like they're just in a tiny backyard and, yes, you can take them through a 15-kilometre walk, but for a dog that's mentally supposed to be working all day every day, and that's what their genetics are, they go loopy. They really do. They find their own jobs.
And you start seeing a lot of compulsive behaviours, tail chasing, light and shadow chasing, trying to hurt up car wheel tyres, bike tyres, things like that. So they need that breed-related outlet. And I'm seeing a bit of a run on, some breeds maybe saying, we're selecting more for pet dog lines rather than working dog lines. But I think genetics is genetics. I mean, you're not going to have it's very unlikely that you're going to have a really, really lazy border collie puppy or something. You might do, but they would be
pretty hard to come by.
Pretty rare. Yeah. So
the research is basically it. Like actually ask people that have the breed, like ask them what they were like as a puppy. And ask them, where they got their dog from and have they had any problems with their dog. And I think researching the breed is a really hard one. People don't know where to go anymore, and so they are still going to Gumtree, unfortunately, and they are still going to online sales. And there's so many breeders out there that are still not doing the right thing by the breed as such. They're doing it for pump them out at the moment, especially. And it's really sad when, something doesn't work out in a home and the breeder won't take it back. I mean, what breeder in their right mind wouldn't take their own dog back or at least help rehome,
Yeah, and that's something that I think identifies a quality breeder if they want to see their dog back with them rather than just sold online. And another thing that I guess should mention too is when I'm talking about breeds of dog, that goes for rescues as well. So it might not always be the breeder, but we're not always going to know necessarily if it's a crossbreed exactly what breeds are in it, but you're going to get a fair idea.
Meeting the puppy for the first time, you're going to know whether they're, sitting in the corner trying to get out of there.
Yeah. You'll be able to pick the breed and I guess do a bit of research still on the breeds that are in the rescue dogs, and still trying to, I guess, find as much history as you can on the dog too, depending whether you go through a shelter or a private rescue or private rehome. Yeah, you still want to do a lot of research on what the dog's personality like, energy needs are like, their history, and yeah.
Yeah, well, Lacey just commented, she said she had a blue heel that used to round up the kids in the yard and wouldn't leave them alone. So she ended up rehoming him so he could run freely and not use the kids as sheep, which is probably like the dog. Unfortunately for them, they lost their family dog, but sometimes these things don't work out. And I think it's really important as well to understand when things don't work out and reach out for help, because there's no point trying to make something work if you've tried all avenues, like if you've engaged in a trainer or behavior, whatever the issue is, but actually you can admit that it's not right for your family, and that's okay as well.
Yeah. It is a shame, and I think that's what we're trying to, I guess, prevent by trying to educate ourselves a bit on how to choose the right dog. But there will be situations where it's not right for you, and it's like any relationship. Sometimes it's not going to work, and we can do all we can to try and help make it work with training, but it's not always going to be successful, unfortunately. And rehoming isn't a failure on anyone's part. Sometimes it's the best thing for everyone. So,
yeah, there was one question before we go to our next little topic. I have a new golden retriever puppy at 13 weeks. How do I teach him to recognise his name when called? Hi, Carol. Have you met Carol yet, Laura? It's a
Goldie that I don't know. That's a strange scenario. I know.
You're supposed to be the Goldie lady.
I know. I need to know every Goldie puppy that there is in the world.
I can see a little puppy in a cute little handbag. I'm wondering if that's the puppy in the handbag in her profile photo.
Oh, it looks like a Goldie puppy, yes. Yeah.
Adorable. Look, Carol, I guess Laura can answer this one. This one's a fairly straightforward one. It's textbook stuff for us trainers, and something that we definitely cover in puppy school. It's really important to get that foundation inside before you start going to a park and doing it. So far away, I'll just keep reading through my notes.
So I guess in terms of teaching a name, I play what I call the name game. And it's just a matter of trying to pair your puppy's name with something that they find really, really reinforcing. And the best way to do that is food. So getting some really tasty treats, or even just feed them their dinner this way, or get some boiled chicken or something high value, be in a really quiet area, like just in your home where there's not a lot of distractions. And I just say the puppy's name and give them a treat when they look at me. So if your name's Bobby or something, go Bobby, treat, Bobby, treat, Bobby, treat. So it's just this process of classical conditioning where they're going to hear that and go, oh my God, salivate, turn around, whip towards you, because my name means really, really good things are going to happen. So to dogs, I guess their name is really just a sound, and it starts getting meaning through what it's associated with. And then they start learning, when you say that sound, it means me and good things are going to happen. So we definitely, I guess that's another reason that we want to make sure we always make our puppy's name really positive. So don't get in the habit of, Bobby, what are you doing? Bobby, give that here. I'm going to grab you and put you in a timeout, because then they're going to start having a really negative association with their name. So save their
Bobby, come here when you've got a brush in your hand and they don't want to be brushed. Like that kind of thing is negative for a puppy as well. So make sure you're only using it for positive. So loads of reinforcement. Hopefully that helps, Carol. Hand feed for a few days, you'll notice a massive difference.
Yeah, that's how I feed when I get a new puppy. I just have their food in a bowl, just say their name and feed, move around the house, say their name, feed, and make sure that they're getting that treat like a second after they're hearing it, so that relationships are really, really tight together. They're hearing their name and then a really tasty treat's going straight in their mouth. And you'll start seeing that response become really sharp. Like they'll just whip around when they hear it. Use really positive tones as well, higher pitched tones and things like that. But first thing you do with any puppy, name, treat, and then do it in different environments, out the front of your house, in your backyard, somewhere really quiet at a park, and start seeing if they can start responding to it in new environments and build up from there.
Yep. So researching which breed is best for your family. What are the kinds of questions that you would ask yourself? Like what kind of questions would you say if you were, if someone rang you and said, I don't know what kind of breed to get for my family, what kind of questions would you get them to ask themselves?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I just had this phone call the other day, actually, but it was more about choosing the personality of the pup within a litter. But I guess it was a similar conversation. This owner just wants me to to chat with the breeder to choose the personality of puppy within a litter that might suit their family. But sort of the questions that I was asking is kind of how do you envisage yourself living with this puppy? Like when you look forward in terms of your future and your life with this pup, what do you see yourself doing? Going camping, bushwalking, or just laying on the couch all day, every day and just having a snuggle buddy? Do you see yourself going for runs? Do you have a busy household? Are you away a lot? Do you have young kids in the house? Have you had dogs before? So some breeds I think are probably better suited to a more experienced household maybe than other breeds because they might be a bit more of a working dog or a sporting dog, or, you know, a dog that probably needs a bit more knowledge in terms of raising them. So, yeah, and I guess if you've got a dog with an unknown history that's been in a shelter for a long time and rehomed or something, if you've got lots of young toddlers in the home, I might not recommend getting a dog with an unknown history because you don't know if they could have a bite history or be fearful of kids and things like that. So, yeah, those sorts of questions, the space you've got available, grooming requirements, allergies in the home, whether anyone's got any sensitivities to particular things. Yeah, all those sorts of questions, I guess.
This is a very good point as well. Yeah. So I think people make the mistake of thinking smaller dogs are easy to handle and need less exercise. They are 100% wrong.
Yeah.
Because half the time, and I see it all the time, people think because they've got a little dog doesn't mean they have to train it, or doesn't mean they have to, you know, teach it a recall, because what trouble could it get into? I mean, it's not going to pick a fight, right? Half the time, dogs that like have a go at Ernie are ones that are scared of him and they just run up to him, have a go, and they can't pull him back. And it's, so you still need to train, but the you know, the from the outsider's eye in, like I need to train Ernie because he's huge, more than a dog with a little white dog, a little white fluffy dog. Sorry, all the white fluffy dog owners, but
I think it's size and energy. It's like I'll often say to owners, if you're in an apartment, I'd probably rather own a Mastiff than a Jack Russell in an apartment, because the energy level and the amount of sleep that they do and the amount of room that they need to move around for a giant breed is sometimes less, other than I guess the space that they take up would be more if they're a giant breed. But I would rather have a large, lazy breed with low energy requirements in a small place than a really high energy working breed.
Like the greyhounds are fantastic for apartment living. They really are. They're just like super chill. They need their half an hour walk in the morning and, you know, 15 minutes at night just for a little sniff around. But they're not like, you know, need to run and seek things like.
Well, the only issue, I do see a lot of greyhounds that live in apartments, and there are a lot of them have fears of stairs and confined spaces and lifts because they haven't had the early socialization. So I think they're becoming very popular apartment dwellers because of the low energy requirements. But I guess if I could give a word of warning to people looking at adopting a greyhound and you're in an apartment, maybe find out are they actually being exposed to stairs, lifts, confined spaces, because they will freeze a lot and they can be very hard to get out of the house. And it's an issue that I work a lot with families with, or they might have a lot of dog reactivity and you live in a very doggy apartment and then you step into a lift and there's 3 of your neighbours with their little dogs barking and they might not cope. So, some things to think about.
Yeah, this is another good point by Susanna, saying that the neighbourhood reaction, we've noticed that people did not respond well to a German Shepherd barking, but a foxy barking is okay.
A lot of stigma, breed stigma, unfortunately. People get scared because it's a German Shepherd, but a little dog might get away with lunging and barking on the lead and people just laugh and go, oh, isn't that funny? But it's not so funny when they're a 50-kilo Rottweiler or something.
Yes, I know every dog's name as well, but I have no idea who the humans are. And if I see them at the supermarket or something, you're such and such's mum.
Yeah, your owner. Yeah.
Grant, I agree with the for puppy name. Make it happy and good stuff. Food orientated though. If food orientated though, yeah. So you could use toys as well for your praise, depending on how stressed the dog is as well. Some dogs don't take food outside of home, but you can definitely practice the food thing at home as well. Setting up your home. That's a good one. There's a question here from Shannon for Laura as well. We'll do that first and then we'll come back to that. I'd like to train my next dog as a therapy dog, from Jennifer.
Excellent. Definitely happy to talk to you about that. in terms of selecting the right breeder. A lot of breeders will raise pups quite differently too. So I have my favourite breeders, and they know who they are, especially in the Goldie world. And I know that they use puppy culture, for instance, for raising the puppies. There's a lot of good early handling, good socialisation, good genetic selection, all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, we can definitely do some homework to get the best start if we possibly can. There's always no guarantees, but yeah, definitely happy to help. And then there's obviously the early socialisation and training work that helps a dog do well as a therapy dog. But feel free to ask any questions.
Cool. Yeah, another point that I was going to say, if you are lucky enough to go and be able to see your litter on the ground, like as soon as they hit the ground at the breeders, I guess the things that you're looking out for as well, guys, is not the dog that's fast asleep in the corner all the time or scared or hiding. The quietest one's not always the best puppy for urban homes either. I was just saying to Laura this afternoon, like, I want that middle puppy. I don't want that one that's bouncing off the walls over there and beating up its brothers and like rolling them and jumping all over them, and the ones that escape out of the puppy pen. And I don't want the one that's sleeping all day and the one that's like hiding under the whatever it is. I want the one that's in the middle, that's doing everything, that's pretty confident, and so that's
middle of the rough puppies. The go. And I feel bad. I have a lot of owners that say to me that they feel sorry for a particular puppy, and it's really admirable and sweet that they're like, oh, there was one quivering in the corner, petrified, and it's here, and had to take it home. And I completely understand, like, we're empathic beings, humans, and I would totally want to rescue every dog that I ever saw. But I guess we do need to recognise that likely comes with the next 15 years of their life, with living a very different life with this dog, because it's probably the kind of dog that's not going to cope with the type of things that we might expose them to over the course of their life. So no, if you're happy to take on a project dog that might need special needs for the next 15 years, fantastic, good on you. But if you don't have the time and skills and resources to meet that need, it could be challenging. Yeah.
I've got a couple of little, Sandy says, the greyhounds are wonderful. We've got Jennifer says the personality is most important. I'm not sure what Hayley means by Goldilocks puppy, maybe just talking about Goldens. And there's another one here just about puppy biting. What's the line between playful and aggressive? Hey, look, Joel, we will touch base with that next. We're just going to talk about setting up the home first. So I'll just make a note of that with Joel. So basically, setting up the home, it is important, obviously, especially in COVID, to make sure that you've got everything ready, because there's nothing worse than trying to rush around trying to find things or half doing things from the start. You want to make sure that you've got everything ready for when you do bring your puppy home. And the biggest thing, and I don't know if Laura, I'm pretty sure she agrees with me on this one, is you need a crate. The first thing you need is a crate.
I'm going to say containment. You need something for your own sanity, whether it's a playpen, a crate, or a baby gate, or 60 of the above. Definitely something.
Yeah. So 100% get yourselves a crate. Now, there's a few different ones on the market. There's either the metal ones, which I've actually got one, an Ernie-sized one behind me. I don't know if you can see it. It's covered. Ellie is actually in the middle of it.
Oh, Ellie, baby.
Up the whole tiniest little bit, and I only set this up because I was teaching puppy school and I was talking about crate training, and so I was showing them how to use the crate and how to lure the dogs through to get them used to it, because you don't just want to bring your puppy home and put them in a crate. You want to get them used to the crate before you actually have to close the door. So sometimes I recommend, if the puppy's not being crate trained, there's some breeders actually do crate train
now.
Yeah, a lot of them do, because they're transporting them as well.
Yeah, which is good. It's great that they do that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Having them inside, if they haven't been conditioned to a crate, then it might be an idea to have a crate and a puppy pen around the outside. So then you've still got management of the dog and where it is at all times. The metal crates, and you've also got the soft crates, which I have Ali's soft crate next to my bed, and that's where she sleeps at night time. So the soft crates are really good as well, but I probably wouldn't recommend it for a chewy, bitey puppy that likes to tear things apart. It's more of an adult, calm down sort of dog. And there are some really great crates on the market, but definitely invest in a good one. And one tip is obviously never to have a collar on your dog when they're in a crate unattended, because if they get hooked, then obviously it could be fatal. Setting up your home. So do you like puppy pads?
Don't start me on puppy pads.
Don't recommend the puppy pads. It doesn't mean
God,
they
no.
don't work in every situation. Like there's certain situations that they do work. And one of my puppy school is in a apartment, and they actually don't even have a balcony. So they have trained her to go on a puppy pee pad in their spare shower. So they just have a pee pad. She goes in there if she needs to. Otherwise, she's pretty good now at holding. She's 7 months old. She's pretty good at holding. So she goes when they take her out downstairs. So in certain situations, they are fine to use, but I wouldn't be planning on buying a packet of puppy pee pads if you've got access to a yard or something safe for the puppies. So, but yeah, pee pads I don't like. They end up being ripping up. Yeah, they rip them up. They go everywhere, and they.
Yeah, and I think, like, I don't want to go out like I'm some kind of I hate puppy pee pads, don't use them. And I know people will like them. I guess just in terms of from what my experience has been of them is, like you're saying, they're great for shredding, and puppies will just chew and rip on them. But the other thing is I do notice that pups will then mistake your rugs and your doormat and things like that because they're more texture sensitive, and they'll go, okay, well, that's a square mat on a hard surface. I'll go pee on that. And you really want to teach them to go on the surface that you want to long term. So even if you can get a grassed one, if you're in an apartment, if you want them to go on grass outside, he's going to be better and cleaner and things like that. Is my experience of it.
You'll need a water bowl. That's also very important, but you don't have to go and buy a fancy one. Just a bowl of water that they can reach. It doesn't have to be, ice cream containers are actually pretty good. But something that a puppy's not going to knock over. I think some of the puppies, especially Goldies, will like to dig their water bowls. So sometimes the puppies in the bottom or something like that, or a paddling pool or something, something different. You don't have to go and purchase a bowl, is what I'm saying, but you definitely need lots and lots of fresh water available, and also inside and outside of their crate so that they know where to access their water. I certainly don't recommend food bowls for a couple of reasons. Food is such a valuable resource. So what better way to enrich your puppy, get them more tired than they usually are or would be without finding their food. You don't even have to buy toys, but enrichment toys. You can make your own enrichment toys. And I've actually got an egg carton here that I was showing my puppy school. An egg carton, just chuck their food in there and then leave them to their own devices to rip all that up. So loads and loads of enrichment toys. Do a bit of research on what's good, what's not, what works, what doesn't, and jump on some Facebook groups of people with the breed that you have and ask them what enrichment toys they love, because chances are your puppy will also love it. Yeah. What else do you need setting up the home? You need a lead and a collar, and you need an ID tag on your puppy's collar as well. A lot of people get the collar, but they forget the ID tag. And when I say ID tag, I just mean even a key tag, a normal key tag that you put on your keys to say your phone number on, or your whatever it is. But I've got these tags here for all my walking clients, so I just chuck them on my dog's ones. But where's Ali? Can I have your collar? The other thing I recommend for puppies is a buckle instead of, a clip instead of a buckle. So the buckles are like the belt buckles, and you have to tighten them to loosen them again. So if they get caught on something, you have to actually tighten it up. Does that make sense? You know, you're doing a belt and you have to tighten it up to get the little bit in. So I definitely recommend a clip one, and a tag with your name, phone number, anything that you need to know about the dog. So Ali's epileptic and don't feed her, and then your council tag. So it's pretty much what you need for a puppy. I'll leave, and get them used to wearing it. Don't just put it on for 5 seconds and take it off. They need to really get used to wearing it. And obviously if that annoys you at night, which it does for me, you can take it off for the night time. You know your dog's safe inside.
Yeah, I tend to not have collars on my guys around the house, just because I've got a multi-dog household too. If they play neck bitey games and things like that, pups can accidentally choke each other or get teeth caught.
Have you seen new Rog's collar, the safety collar?
No.
The rep called me the other day, and I'm going to order some in because they're awesome. So they've got like a stretch elastic in them, so they've got to break away. So basically it's a collar, but when you're walking the dog, you've got two that clip together. like the black dog.
I get you.
Ernie, sorry, get all your fluff. So with Ernie's collar, I have to clip them two together. So the Rogs is the same. So if it's not clipped together, so you haven't got it on a lead, it's got a stretch here so they can slip out of it. So
that's good.
Yeah, but the clip, like the actual clips to the side. So I think they're fantastic for multi-dog households and also for puppies. So if they get stuck and you're not on a lead with you, then they can get away.
The other thing with, I guess, setting up your home is puppy-proof your home like you got a toddler in their house. They can chew through electrical cords. I've seen some sad, puppies being electrocuted from chewing through electrical cords. Check that your plants aren't toxic to dogs. Go around your garden, make sure you don't have any plants that are toxic. There are a lot, like aloe vera plants and things like that are really toxic. If you've got a veggie patch, block that off. There's a lot of plants. I've had pups that have had recurring diarrhea and vomiting. Turned out they were eating the vine of a tomato plant, which makes pups quite sick. Spend all this money in vet bills. So make sure that you've really, really puppy-proofed. If you've got crushed rock, they might choke on rocks or eat mulch, blood and bone, fertilizer, snail bait, all that sort of stuff. So go around your house with a fine-tooth comb.
Even snail bait isn't, even though it says pet-friendly, it doesn't mean your dog can eat it. So don't buy the pet-friendly stuff, assuming that it's okay for your dog to eat, because it's not. It's still poison.
Yeah.
If you're going to poison your yard, then your dog doesn't go out there unless you have it on a lead, because
your weed killers, things like that. Yeah, they will get into it and everything will go in their mouth. So make sure you're really clearly supervising them, that they're kept in a safe area when you're not able to actively supervise them, and all that sort of stuff. And, set it up like you're bringing a toddler home, a toddler without a nappy on, basically. So.
Yay, the queen has been out working for 2 weeks now. I'm so proud.
Oh, very good. More like a toddler that's also crossed with a piranha with no nappy on. a land sharking, peeing and pooing, because that's kind of what it's like.
Hey, we've got loads of comments and questions. So coming back to Joel, and Al Forrest says, researching breeds at the moment, we have a small backyard, but we're thinking about laying fake grass. We're obviously looking for a non-digger, but is there anything I should know about fake grass and dogs? What kind of dog?
It sticks in summer. If they pee a lot, it can get really smelly.
Yeah.
There's bunnies that you can get, but I mean, they tend to rip it up and chew on it. We've had it in dog daycare.
Because if you're still here, then you can answer that question, because you've got fake grass and your girl's ripped it up. So not really, but it depends on the dog, I guess. Like, you might get a dog that doesn't want to dig. You might get a dog that doesn't want to rip up the fake grass, but it also depends on how you have it laid. Like, there's lots of different ways to lay it as well.
I mean, Benny's not a digger. He's everything else. That's probably the only thing he's not. But some dogs are just not particularly diggy, but all dogs will dig, and particularly in summer and things like that, if they're looking for a cool area. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what breed you get in terms of the digging, you might be able to find ways around it, but maybe not get breeds like your Lagottos or your Dachshunds, or like a breed that is bred to actually dig and burrow into the ground. You're going to be more likely, but every other dog will tend to just dig for fun. It's a pretty enriching it's a foraging kind of hunting, exploratory sort of behavior. So
digging in the water bowl because he's hot. It's more fun, I think. Most dogs because it's fun. If they're hot, most dogs try and find a cool spot to lay down because they get quite cool on their tummy. So you'll find that they'll do like a frog leg or dig a hole and sit in it. So possibly that, Joel. Carly,
my Stappy boy, he does it after a run. Like if there's shell pool or a bowl, he just gets so hot. As soon as he comes in, first thing he goes to is his bowl or the shell pool to dig in it. Your labs will do it all the time.
Yeah.
Carly, you're not getting a fourth.
Fourth, yeah, I know. I was talking to Carly the other day, actually, and she said she's getting a fourth. I was like, how big is your car? Like, how are you going to fit in your house?
Got 3 Goldies, what's a fourth? She'll just need to get a live-in vacuum cleaning person permanently.
Just right, Goldilocks and the porridge. Siblings is great deep pressure. Yep, on my head. Great trained. Cool. Toddler Puppy gulch, we'll go back to that one as well. My 16, I'll just have a flick through. So let's go to the next banner, which was socialisation, why it's important.
Did we answer Joel's nippy playful?
One. I've got the I've got nipping and toilet training coming up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So let me just go through them.
Peeing in the crate would depend when they're doing it. It can be a stressy behaviour, but if it's overnight, I'd say they just can't hold on long enough. Could be what's going on, and depends whether it's a bit of a going backwards in toilet training as well, if they've been quite good and then having accidents. I have had a few dogs going into crates and peeing lately. There was some correlation. It was really windy. I had some pups doing it more at night, and they were getting a little bit scared going into their crate and peeing rather than going outside. Sometimes we just kind of need to step back from it and look at, see if there's a pattern, and just go back to staying on top of getting them out to toilet, jackpotting for going outside. I think no matter what's going on, we need to make going where we want them to go so much more reinforcing than the alternative. But also just observe their behaviour. Are they trying to avoid going outside? Are they looking stressed outside? Are they going and hiding in their crate or something? Maybe there's something that's scaring them and they're going in there and wetting themselves. So maybe look and see if there's any stress body language that correlates with it. If it's becoming a pattern, maybe close the crate door at times that you're not watching them, just in case. So you're sort of managing the environment. But it sounds like it's overnight maybe.
Yeah, and I actually had the same question not that long ago about the toileting regression. And I said, well, what time is it happening? Like, what time are you noticing the puppy waking up? So around 2, 3 o'clock. I said, great, get up at 1:30, take your dog out to the toilet, do kind of like a dream wee like you do with kids. So when you sort of, even when you're breastfeeding, you do a dream feed so that you don't have to wake the child up and you just quickly feed them and put them back to sleep. So it's the same with the puppy. If you quickly go into a dream wee when they're half asleep and you've woken them up rather than them getting into a pattern of running, like waking you up as well, might be also a nice idea. So that then you're actually instigating the toileting, not the puppy having the accident or waking up and going, I need a pee. So
it might be stirring or something. You might be hearing them stirring but just kind of ignoring it. Maybe that's them trying to communicate they need to go out to the toilet, but they're just not confident enough to really whimper and communicate yet. So take them out to the toilet in the middle of the night. Might be days that they're drinking a bit more, they've been a bit more active and they're just not holding on as long as other days they might not have been as active and drink as much. I don't know, could be a pattern. But
Raise 3 puppies, use baby gates and playpen but never a crate. Are they that important? Look, management, some houses aren't suitable for gates and playpens. So I think, it depends on the setup and the layout of your house. I recommend crates because a lot of people don't think well ahead. So if they've got a puppy and they need to take it on holiday with them, or even an adult dog, it's a really nice idea to have, especially if you're going to the coast and they don't have fences and you've got to then, train your dog to stay on the property. You can't do that while you're on the holiday. Whereas if you had them in a crate, exactly where your dog is, you're managing that. So,
it gets asked a lot on, I think it was talked about quite a bit on a Golden Retriever page about a week ago, people sort of debating crates, and completely understand some people are going to be against them and think it's really caged, a caged animal. But I leave the door open and let them go in and out. I condition it really positively and my dogs will choose to go in there. But you'll see things on, if there's been a natural disaster and the animals are evacuated, they've all got to be put in a crate. If you travel, if you go to dog sports, if your dog needs a hip operation and they need to be on crate rest for 6 weeks because they've got some kind of serious surgery or they've got to go into a vet for something, it's a helpful skill to have if they've been conditioned to it. Doesn't mean you need to. I don't advocate for putting your dog in a crate every day. It's not a babysitter. I certainly wouldn't shove them in there forcefully for long periods at all. It's just another option that you have that you can safely contain your dog if you need to, or if you have kids and they need a safe place to go to.
And stuff, So, the kids are running around, the puppy's running around, you've got a Zoom meeting. What's your best way to get around this? Are you going to watch the kids? Are you going to watch the puppy? What are you going to babysit? Like the easiest.
Yeah.
It's easier to put next to you with the puppy in it. You know exactly what they're up to, what they're chewing, what they're doing, where the kids are.
They can't get into any mischief. It's just safe to pop them in there. And if they're being conditioned to it positively, they've got something to do in there, they're just going to chew on a Kong, lick on a Kong, and then go to sleep or something. And it's their safe little area. yeah, there's certainly no harm in doing it if it's done ethically and positively. And
Yes, scary about the collars. Mel actually mentioned here, don't put a collar on in the crate. We mentioned that earlier. Someone else said that their Goldies rip up the piddle pads and uses instant turf. Good idea. Goldies love paddling in their water pools. They sure do. And just toss a bit of food in there if they need a bit of encouragement, and voila, in they go. What setup do you recommend for sleeping? That's a really good question, Glenda. As far as like with the first night you bring the puppy home, a lot of people like make the mistake of laundry, puppy. Oh, puppy cried
shove them in the
all night.
laundry and shut the door and let them scream it out is kind of the common way that
that's what they're told and that's what they read. So
true.
I guess it comes down to what do you feel in your heart is the best thing for your dog, and where do you want it to sleep as an adult? That's the first question you've got to ask yourself. Where do you want your dog to be when it's an adult dog? Do you want it to be an outside dog, an inside dog? Would you like it sleeping in the laundry? Do you want it on your bed? Do you want it in your kid's room? Like, where do you want your dog? So whatever you want your dog to do as an adult, that's where you start with the sleeping arrangements. Definitely don't pop it in your bed with you, because that is a bad habit to start with. Once you've got your dog settled.
With having your dog in bed with you.
Pardon?
Nothing wrong with having your dog in your bed.
Because so many people have got these puppies
and then they the bed. God, no.
Yeah, no way. Yeah. No, don't do it. It's not worth it.
I've always had a crate next to my bed with a puppy. It's just it solves every issue. They're safe. They're right next to you. You can comfort them. If they cry, you can take them out to the toilet. Done.
Yep.
It's
just like having a newborn. Just like put the bassinet next to the bed. They can hear you breathing. You can hear them when they stir. And then if you want your dog in the lounge room of a nighttime, you gradually move that crate slowly away from your bed. Like once a week, maybe move it 20 centimeters towards that door. Not like one step day in front of the bed, next step outside the door, next step. Like break it down really easy for the dog. And if it's starting to get harder as you get close to the door, take it back a step. That's okay. It's okay to go backwards. But don't make it too hard too soon.
Eventually you'll find you just reach a point where you trust your pup and you're like, I don't think I actually need to shut the crate door tonight. They're taking the choice to go out to the toilet themselves, or they're holding on, they're not destroying anything, and you'll know when your pup's ready to have freedom. But confinement really far away from you, when they haven't been socially isolated or haven't co-slept with another animal at all in their whole life, is really, really stressful. And that's why you get a lot of crying when they're shut away, because they miss their brothers and sisters and
Get us down for a digger. Yep. Let's just answer the socialization question. So topic on socialization. So I guess the biggest question is that people are really confused about what is socialization. What does socialization mean?
exposure.
A lot of people think it's play. They think it's going and playing with dogs at the park. It's not. It is not playing. We might think socialization, like if I was socializing with you, we might be out having a coffee. Yeah, that's true. But we're also being exposed to different elements when we're doing that. With a puppy, socialization, it should almost have a different word, I reckon. They should rename that socialization word to exposure or generalization to scenarios. So seeing as we're in isolation at the moment, we can't go and see all these objects and things and like sights and sounds. I always recommend like going and seeing a train, a tram, a truck, a bus, all these playgrounds, skate parks, motorbikes, all these kinds of things that we don't think about. But a really great option for isolation is the Soundproof Puppy Training app, which is noise desensitization, getting the puppy used to loud noises or even not even loud noises. But you start at a really low volume and you associate it with something positive. And when I say Soundproof Puppy, it's an app that you can buy off the App Store, or you can just use YouTube. So if you just get yourselves a socialization checklist of sound, then you can check out YouTube and just get a whole heap of sounds and start desensitizing your dog to that. Another really important one is fireworks and thunderstorms and the wind and, heavy rain and all those kinds of things. So socialization, like you said, is exposure. And the rain's a big one at the moment with puppies. There's lots of puppies having accidents because of the environment, the rain, all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
What else?
Because I mean, socialization. There's socialization, then there's habituation. So habituation is just kind of exposure to non-social living beings, and then socialization is exposure to social things, humans, other dogs, kids, things like that. But I kind of have 3 levels of socialization I kind of describe to owners. One is just noticing and ignoring. So yeah, it's over there, but I can notice it and do absolutely nothing. I can just lay here and notice it and keep going, which is probably 90% of what you want. You want to go for a walk, they see a dog and go, yeah, whatever, and keep going, because you don't want them to think that, yeah, socializing is everything. And then another one is sniff, move on. So it's like the handshake of how you're going, moving, which might be 10% of what you do, and then actually learning play skills, which might be, you know, a handful of dogs that you meet where they actually learn social play skills. But it's not go to the dog park and play with every single dog and wrestle and get bowled over and hurt. So think of it as all of those things, not just free-for-all play. And you should do, well,
meeting lots and lots of people as well.
Yes, people, kids.
Even just seeing them. It doesn't mean you have to say hello, like just being there with them. High vis, work boots, belts, hats, hard hats,
skateboards. There's some good checklists online. I've done one for my puppy owners, which is just a socialization checklist. And dogs are a very, 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 very small part of it. And it's about 4 pages long. So it goes to show how little dog socialization is on the grand scheme of my therapy dogs and assistance dog clients. I'm like, go get them out used to the world that they're going to live in, which will be shopping centres, trolleys, going into hospitals, seeing people with different physical abilities. It's not go to the dog park and get them to want to wrestle every dog they ever see. Totally not what they should be getting used to as a young age. So don't worry that they're not getting to play with other dogs at puppy school, because it's such a small part of what we do.
Yeah, there's a couple more comments here which says about the crate, Turtle loves his crate, and it was great him being the crate trained when we flew to New Zealand, and it's a safe spot because he's a little shy. Sandy says the older dog is a natural barker when people arrive. The bodies don't generally bark. I get your questions when one is excited. How to... missed the end of that one, Sandy. How do I choose a puppy from a litter? It's another puppy question here. Let's go back to the mouthing and the biting, and we'll come back to that one because I know that...
There's another really good question here about puppies picking up bad habits from older dogs. You've gone past that. We'll answer that one in a sec. That's a really good question.
So biting and mouthing, biting, toilet training. How do you know when it's aggression and when it's not? I think was his question. So let me just go back and see if I can find his...
Body language. Aggression, you will know. Aggression, the function of aggression is to make things go away. The function of play is to make things come to you. So if you're seeing a dog that's stiffening, eyeballing, you know, kind of giving you whale eye, and they're over a resource that they want and they're looking at you as if this is mine, go away, that's when you know that it's aggressive. Whereas when it's playful, your body language is more affiliative, loose, waggly, can be high arousal, but yeah, they're wanting to come back in and play. But within playfulness, you've got inappropriate arousal as well, and maybe you're sort of talking about when is play getting out of hand and too highly arousing. I have a line that I draw when the puppy's making mistakes, and they get that glazed over crazy eye and they're nipping my hand or something like that. They're getting too rough. They're getting quite vocal. They're really shaking and too rough with the toys. I'll always split play quite regularly, 5 or 10 seconds of play. Stop, sit, calm down.
You're really lenient on that one. I like to do 3 seconds. 1 and 2.
I shouldn't even say, because if I'm working some line, bred German Shepherd versus a 9-week-old King Charles Cavalier, that, you know, I would probably have the Shepherd hanging off my arm after 5 seconds, whereas the Cavalier, I could probably go 20 seconds, 10, 20 seconds. So it's more let the behaviour I shouldn't give a time scale. If you're starting to see that the play's getting out of hand and they're making mistakes and they can't switch off, if they can't eat, if the pup can't sit and chew food because they're just like so crazed, I'm like, it's got too out of hand. They're too highly stimulated.
So I wonder if he's meaning it's quite bitey with him rather than other dogs. So puppies will always bite, Joel. It's up to you to communicate when it hurts. And I actually teach people, as soon as you feel teeth, that's it. It's a big, loud, ow! Really loud, and you show the puppy by using your body language. You put your hands under your arms, or you put them up, and you turn your head away to say, I don't like that. I didn't like that. The game stopped. Don't engage in a conversation with the dog, but, communicate, ouch, move away, and then maybe come back, ask them for something like a sit to say, please, can I play a game? And then you engage and play a game. But as soon as you feel any kind of skin to teeth contact, the game stops. It has to. If you keep revving up your dog with your hands and teaching it to bite your hands, you're going to have an adult dog doing that. And I tell you what, that hurts.
Rough housing with hands and things like that, because they're going to see your hands as a toy. So always make sure you're using toys. And some people, I don't think, with some dogs, ouch can amp them up more. It depends. Sometimes it can be effective. I don't know how good guys are going to get at getting that pitch.
Yeah, or even if they go or something like just snap them out of there for that split second. Yeah, or, ouch,
that hurts.
As soon as they show them that the game stopped, the puppy's going to get it pretty damn quick that they didn't like that.
Yeah.
And
can even act like a no reward marker.
What was that?
Can even act as a no reward marker. Like it's a no, done, finish. Sorry,
too
buddy.
Yeah. I like to use too bad or oops, oh dear, you made a mistake. So then you're teaching yourself not to get angry at the puppy either. It's not its fault, because that's how they see and feel their world, is through their teeth. They don't have hands.
Yeah.
So they, when they're playing with their litter mates, that's how they play, is through playing and biting and jumping on each other. So they're just trying to, play with you. So you got to let them know if it hurts.
Yeah. Don't get aggro at them. Don't go back at, because then they're going to go, whoa, you're getting amped up, so I'm going to go back at you. It can make them scared and stressed of you too. So there's no need to get angry, but just stop it. End of the game.
Yeah. Hopefully that answers your question, Joel, if you're still there. And I think he had another one down here, but further. Where is it? Joel.
We answered that one. But it looks like from his profile he might have a Staffy pup. Staffies are they're bull terrier breed, so they're bred to grab things with their mouth. Really, tug ropes. Give them lots of
Joel. That'll be too much for a Staffy. It says golden retriever though, so maybe he's got a Staffy and then a golden retriever.
Oh, some Goldies can be. Oh yeah, how did I miss it? It had a GR there. Yeah, some Goldies can be really, really mouthy as well. Sounds like, especially in witching hour, if it's in the evening, they do just go feral. So if they're just not even able to think clearly, stop, do a sit if you ask them to. If they're not redirecting onto a toy, they're just being land shark hanging off your clothes, put them away. Just put them in the pen, give them something else to chew. They're just having crazy hour. So they do go like that in the evening. They grow out of it, I promise.
So this person says, how do I ensure that my puppy doesn't pick up the bad habits of my older dog? It's a good question.
Separation. Yeah. I've got a lot of clients that have older dogs that have got their own, behavioural issues, and then they've got a puppy. So train your dogs completely separately and only have them together when you're able to supervise them and be actively supervising them. I think we tend to assume that we'll just shove them in together and then let them get along or let them teach each other what the ground rules are. But that's really our responsibility. So if your older dog's got some concerning behaviours, maybe if they react to other dogs out on a walk, don't take your puppy out walking. Yeah.
And if it's the other way around, if the puppy's starting to display things like that, then don't take your older dog with it, because then you've got two dogs to do it. The other thing is, have you thought about addressing the issues that the older dog has and actually trying to help the older dog before you obviously start bringing them together? So train them separately and then bring them together later on. And sometimes if it's like a a snappy behavior, it might be worth investigating if there's something up with your older dog. Maybe, check with your vet. But it depends on what the bad habits are. Like if it's toileting and stuff like that, then yeah, just make sure you've got an eye on your puppy and it's not following the leader. Like my 2-year-old's following my 4-year-old at the moment, and that's interesting. The old attitude.
They will. No, your pup will desperately want to do what your older dog's doing. So always make sure you address the behaviour issues with your older dog, or reach out and get a trainer and just go, look, my older dog's got X, Y, Z behaviours. I'm concerned about them copying. Get some help in addressing the other behaviours, and then also just take your puppy like a clean slate and train them separately away from your older dog so that they're not going to copy each other, and have some time separate with them too. Don't always have them together, just so they generally learn how to be apart from each other.
Yeah, and some positive ways, like with Ali, she toilet trained Ernie, because she'd go out to the toilet and then he'd go out to the toilet and then he'd smell her wee and he'd pee on top of it. So, in some regards, the toilets, there's some things that they do pick up that are really, really handy and helpful. So, good question though. If you do need help, reach out, obviously. Usually at night. So this is on toilet training, I think. And next topic is toilet training. So talking about how to toilet training your puppy. So for those of you that haven't got your puppy yet, sorry, what was that?
This will be the crate one, the 16-week-old. That's yeah. So if he's refusing to, don't come inside until he does.
Yeah, just wait. You might be half an hour, you might be an hour. The other thing you could practice doing, Sarah, is taking him out on the lead as well during the day, and starting to not allow him to go and sniff or do whatever it is that he's busy doing, because he's forgetting to do a wee. So, well, it goes back to toilet training my toddler. You say, do you need to do a wee? And she'll go, yeah. And then so you'll go and sit in the toilet, and then she'll want to go and play with the toy. No, you do a wee and then you go play with the toy. But it's a bit hard to communicate with the puppy, but if you know that your puppy's just woken up from a sleep, you know that it's just had a big drink of water, or you've played with it and you know that it should be probably ready to go to the toilet, then take it out on the lead and, wee, come on, let's go, quick, something like that to get them encouraged. And then once they do, make a massive jackpot out of it, and practice that at night as well, so that then it's routine to go out to go to the toilet, get your treat and come back inside.
It is hard, like when we're walking around the garden at 2:00 in the morning and it's freezing cold and we just want to go to bed because we're half asleep. It is really frustrating, but if we don't persist, then they're going to come inside and pee. It's going to happen. But they're like, oh, now I've got your attention. You've gotten up. What are we going to do? Let's play. And they get all distracted. So you just got to stick it out. It sucks, I know, but
that's part of being a puppy parent.
It's fun, really.
Part of being one. So the best way to toilet train a puppy, for those of you that haven't got your dog yet, or we obviously touched a little bit on it before about puppy pee pads. Don't really recommend the pee pads. Just start straight out where you want your dog to go. If you want them to go on concrete, teach them on concrete. If you want them to go on grass, teach them to go on grass. If you want them to go to the back of the property to pee, take them on a lead out there every single time and get them to pee and poo at the back of the property. Wherever it is you want your dog to pee and poop, that's where you got to take them. You want to pair the word with an action. So if they are, sniffing around, you go, let's go, whatever it is, your word, to cue the behavior. And as they're actually going, then you'd say, pit stop, whatever it is, whatever, toilet, wee-wees. What do you use? What word do you use, Laura?
Toilet.
So like, seeing our dogs do jobs, do business, whatever it is, that's their cue word for that behaviour. So when they're doing their toilet, you just very quietly, not too excitedly, say pit stop or wee-wees, toilet, whatever it is. And then when they finish, as soon as they stand up, and that is the most important part. Don't say it before they stand up. Once they stand up and finish their toilet, that's when you mark them with your yes or good, clappy, and you make a big scene out of it. And then you give them lots and lots of treats.
Have treats by your back door. You'll find them in your washing machine. Yeah. Months after you're toilet training a puppy, I've got crumbs. I've got treats in my pocket as well. But just have a little container by your back door and a lead hanging. If you go through your laundry, have a little hook hung up with a lead and a little container sitting up high. But just a handful of treats. Just grab it out the door. Yeah, wait for them to go. Toilet, finish. Yes, jackpot, back inside. And they'll go, oh, if I do a wee out here, I get treats and I get to come inside. Win-win. perilous learning as much as you can, because whatever they rehearse, they'll get better at. So if they get used to just peeing in their crate at 2 a.m., I know it sucks and we sound really strict, but it's kind of, I guess it's the way that you end up being successful. As much as it can suck, there's no real magic wand of, if you just say this magic word, they won't do it anymore or anything. You know, it is what it is. It's hard work.
Yeah, and also, I guess, looking out for the signs. So even if they're not in a crate and if you've got your dog with you and they start sort of sniffing around or doing circles, that's kind of an indicator that they're trying to find somewhere to go. So if you're at home with your dog and, you know, you've got a new puppy and they're not toilet trained, I'd recommend not letting them out of your sight, because otherwise you're going to find little landmines behind the curtains in the front, you know, front room, or on the carpet, the front doormat, or, you know, right outside the bathroom when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you step out and step in a cold poop. So make sure you are managing your dog, keeping an eye on them all the time if they're not trustworthy for that toilet training. So first few days of being home, I do recommend, if you can't watch your dog, if it's got free run of the house, you're going to have mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. The dog's not going to know. So have it on a lead next to you, have it on the crate next to you, then you can actually manage that dog as to where they need to go. Take them out on the hour every hour. I usually say for the first little while. So take them out on the hour every hour during the day, encourage them to go. And then once they have gone, obviously jackpot. If you know that your dog can last 2-3 hours, then you make a routine of every 2 or 3 hours. But don't ignore the signs of a whimpery dog or a dog that's restless, because chances are they do need to go. So puppies will always need to go to the toilet after play, after having a little bit of a rest, after eating, after drinking, and after a bit of training as well. So whenever you pretty much do something, when they do something, when they move and change and do something different, that's when you take them out to the toilet. So and pre-COVID, when I went over to a consult, I think I got them to take the puppy out 3 times, and all 3 times it went to the toilet because I picked up the signs. Okay, we've done a few sets now. Puppy's looking over like needs to go to the toilet, and they took it out and away it went. So, you know, picking up those signs. What have you just done? What has your puppy just done? Even Allie now, if she does a zoomie in the house, then all of a sudden she's at the back door going, I need to go. I don't think
I've done a puppy consult where the puppy hasn't peed 2 to 3 times at least. You know, you get there and it's like, okay, let's get them to pee before we start doing training, because we're going to want to train. Let's just get one out of them first. And then you might do half an hour training. They've had a drink. All right, let's do another toilet. And then, you know, so really, really regular. And don't tell them off if they have an accident, because then they're just going to be scared of doing it near you too. So
that was that question there from Joanne. What do you say to them if you get them just as they're peeing or putting inside? Yeah, good question, Joanne. She's got gorgeous little Ginger. They're starting puppy school. You haven't started. You started on Saturday. So what do you say to them? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You could say, oops, just to teach yourself, not to get angry at them. Oopsie days. And you just clean it up. And the best thing to clean it up with is something very plain. So white vinegar, just get a little spray bottle of white vinegar and just clean it up with that. I think maybe you need to be a little bit more vigilant about where Ginger is and what she's doing and when she needs to go. So set your timer on the hour every hour and take her out on the hour just to get her used to going out.
I mean, you can pick them up and take them out, but you'll probably just get pee all down you. And then if you run up and rouse at them and go, don't do it, and that whole, like these horrific wives' tale, grab their nose and rub it in it and all this sort of stuff, your pup's just going to go, I urinate, and you get angry. And then you're going to take them out and go, please go to the toilet near me and I'll give you a lolly. And they're like, hell no. Last time I peed near you lost your banana at me and roused at me. So it's going to create a lot of conflict and anxiety around them feeling comfortable to go to the toilet near you. So I usually just yell at myself or my fiance rather than the puppy. So I thought it was your turn to be watching the puppy. I was cooking dinner because it's our fault. It's not the puppy's fault. They think the whole world is their toilet. They don't understand that your house isn't their toilet. That's our job to supervise and train them where we want them to go. So I just get angry at myself because I've missed it. Like, damn, I got distracted. I wasn't watching you.
Too bad. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Hang on. We'll come back to you, Jody. Sandy's commenting heaps. I'm trying to read them all, Sandy.
Sandy.
Sandy? Who's Sandy? No, I told her not comment, didn't I?
No, I know. They're great. They're great comments. I'm reading them.
They are. It's just kind of a little bit of a booster as to what we've missed as well.
Yeah.
Joel said he's got the Staffy was his family dog, and they have a golden retriever now, so that's why.
Yeah. Some Goldies can be shocking nippers, but I think we sort of talked about the things to watch out for, and hopefully gets through it okay. Lots of things to chew, lots of soft, fluffy toys, and don't get him too wound up. Keep things low key and separation.
Umbrellas really brings this little desensitization stuff. So different steps at different stages. Those noises and sounds are not the same as actual other elements, smell, vibrations. Yeah, Sandy, the other really good thing about the Sunproof Puppy Training app is I really like the clicker one. It's got the clicker sound, but it also vibrates. So it's really good if you've got a fluffy dog that needs to get used to being clipped. And I recommend all my puppy schools do that if they've got a fluff ball, especially around the pads of their feet to get them used to like scooping out. I actually did Ellie and Ernie the other day. Ellie fell asleep, but Ernie was like, I don't know if I like that. So I got my puppy out and gave him a pig's ear, and away he went. And he didn't notice when I was actually doing it. So, and the other thing here is fear periods is really important as well. So some dogs go through different stages. So you might have to go back and do this at 7 months or 8 months of age with your puppy as well. So, just because you've done it when they're a puppy doesn't mean that you don't have to do it again. I still do it with Ernie. I still do it with Ellie, and especially fireworks and stuff that's coming up for New Year's. You want to make sure that they're happy and comfortable with those noises.
Yeah.
All right. Umbrellas, yep. Jody says, my son loves to play with my puppy and the puppy bites him a lot. This is one I referred to you actually, Laura. Might sound strange, but I think my son likes the biting. He's 9-year-old ASD. Have you come across this? My puppy's mastiff.
It's unlikely. I mean, it depends on the pressure of the bite. It could have a positive sensation if it's very, very mild biting, but puppy teeth can be quite painful. Depends whether physically you think he likes it or socially, in terms of whether it's some kind of connection sort of thing. But we can have a chat about it anyway.
Kids get giggly when they get like nervous as well as to how to respond.
Yeah, it can be a coping strategy, like I don't actually know how to process this, and it's a bit of a nervous laugh, and so I guess in terms of it's not something we really want them to do anyway, because we're not wanting the pup to get reinforced for biting, because it's something that will then likely transition to other people too. And you've got a mastiff, so you don't want a mastiff that thinks it's funny to bite people that move through your house, because that won't go down too well. But we can find other interactions that your son might enjoy. So definitely deep pressure stimulation, things like that, is something that ASD kids will like from a dog. But we find different ways of achieving that, whether it's laying on them rather than something that's teeth on skin related. But yeah, it'd be interesting. We can definitely talk about it.
Yeah, cool.
It's going to be useful.
Through, so all good. Hopefully you guys can catch up.
Yeah. One more question. I missed any tips for managing dogs' frustration, but yeah, that one, if you want to answer that.
What's that? Sorry. Any tips for managing my dog's frustration when I leave him at home to take my puppy out separately for walks, training, and vice versa? Wow. So you got 2 dogs, and you've got one that's older than your puppy, but the older dog doesn't like being left at home. Is that right? Is that what she's meaning? Yeah. So is your dog able to take food while you're out is the first thing. So whether you can set them up with some enrichment strategies, or whether you can toss some food in the backyard, so she's busy off doing that, but also practicing your dog's being alone while you're not actually physically taking the dog apart. So maybe feeding your older dog in the lounge room or something, and then slipping out for 5 minutes and coming back and making the process really minute for the dog so it doesn't get too upset. Having somebody else to manage your older dog, so that then they're not left alone by themselves. Like, there's lots of things you can do. It depends on whether you live on your own as well. So you could even get somebody else to take the puppy out, or
if they've got someone at home that can stay with the older dog. Because the thing is, you don't want to go, well, too bad, too sad to the old dog and just take your older dog and take your puppy out, because that could cause a lot of stress for your older dog, and then you're going to develop separation anxiety in your older dog. Just through that, you're abandoning me with the puppy. So don't do it if it's causing distress. Like you said, you have someone that can stay at home with them, or just teach them to be separate when you're not actually going out. Take them both out together, and only take the puppy by themselves when you've got someone else to hang with the older dog, or once you've trained them to take food without you present, or while pup's on the other side of a baby gate or something like that. separate. So start with general separation and then separation out of sight, and then separation out of sight, taking puppy with you. It's kind of those three levels.
Yeah, so baby steps and making it easier for the older dog as well, because that can be quite stressful. You got a new puppy and then all of a sudden you want to spend all the time with the new puppy and not with them anymore. And, you know, dogs are emotional. They can feel, you know, left out as well. So
totally. Yeah.
I don't know what your scenario is, Sophie, but certainly reach out and shoot a message through and we can help you answer those as well. I've just popped in here last question. So Rachel Bromley has got the last question, guys. We'll just feed through the rest that we've got here. Otherwise, we're going to be here all night, and I would really like to go to bed. Seeing as daylight savings upset Harrison at 10 to 5 this morning.
Oh,
It's the bags in my eyes.
Savings has thrown, everyone off a bit.
Hiya, I have a 9-week-old Rowdy who's a bit scared of our shadows, especially at 9 p.m. pee time. Oh, interesting.
Oh, shadow fear.
What breed is Rowdy? Do you know?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I don't know them.
Okay. Might be worth checking eyes as well, possibly. But if it's shadows, though, it's probably just.
Yeah, Benny was a bit funny. We'd go out for toilet time and I looked around and noticed because of the backlight would make this big shadow of me project onto the back fence and he'd be like, what the heck is that? So I just stood in ways that the light wasn't projecting. Am I interpreting this right?
It's a Gotti, yeah.
Yeah. Try and limit the shadows as much as possible and just do some counter conditioning to it in general. So when there are shadows, what's that? Yes, he's a pup, or even do find it and throw some treats along the shadow so that they're kind of getting some positive associations with it moving around and not staring at it and freezing and freaking out. But if you need to go out there and go to the toilet, maybe take a torch or stand in a way that the light isn't projecting a shadow, and maybe do some separate training sessions to just get used to it. Because some pups can freak out, even with big signs of, pictures of dogs and stuff like that. They can just freak out and go, that's a bit scary. Yeah, it's this big thing that's moving around. So maybe just make them 2 separate exercises. Try and avoid the shadow when you need to pee. Or do the pee time, but also do a bit of training around just some counter conditioning. There's a shadow, yes, here's a treat. There's a shadow, yes, here's a treat. It's okay, and just acclimating to them.
Yeah, and even try and choose the times of days that you decide to do the training. So maybe do it broad daylight so that they're getting used to seeing a shadow on the floor, on the ground. Because if you start flooding the dog with, coping with those things when the light's a bit dimmer, and quite often dogs can't see particularly well right on dawn or dusk. So it depends on what the dog, can and can't see. So, just take it really, really slow, especially with a 9-week-old, and maybe reach out to your breeder as well to see if they've got any tips on that. Chances are their dogs may have had some previous.
It is a common issue. I mean, a shadow is a weird thing. It's the big black image of a person moving. So it would freak them out. Just, treat it like socialising to anything else, I guess.
Yeah. Jody says that'll be great. Seems he doesn't know how to listen to CSD. I'd love to chat further. Cool. How early do you start puppy school? Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie. As soon as you can. As soon as you get that puppy home, get it started. We'll get you started more so. It's about you training the dog, not the dog actually going to the school as such. So I've actually just started my online puppy school and I'm full until next week. So I've got spots coming next week. But they're down to like 3 on each night now. So if you want to book in, get in quick because they are going like hotcakes. So the puppy class is due to COVID at the moment. And I was just watching the news tonight saying that our cases aren't going down as low as we need them to, as quickly as we need them to. So it doesn't look like group classes are going to be up anytime soon.
Group classes will be a while off, yeah.
So get your puppy in. We'll get you in to get started on your training, especially if you haven't had a dog before. If it's been a few years since you had a puppy, a lot of things have changed as to the advice that's given. So I've just got a 4-week course, which is 4-week courses for 1 hour at a time, and I've got a wonderful presentation for you to watch beforehand so you can get used to how to handle your puppy and just the basics of luring and sitting for the first week, and loading them up with a marker word or clicker training, whichever you choose to use. And then you can just slot in on any week or any time. So if you guys are getting a puppy or if someone's getting a puppy soon, then you can jump in and book in with me for the week that suits you. So as long as you're learning things like how to desensitize your dog, handling's really important at the moment, getting them used to other people as well. So I've got socialisation checklists that people are putting on their fridges, and their aim is to do 5 to 10 a week and to make sure the dog is confident by the end of the week. But also lots and lots of feedback on what we cover as well. So you've got notes to refer back to. There's nothing worse than doing a course and forgetting part of it and then not having anything to go back on. So and then Rachel's was the last question. Call Stephanie. I hope to see you soon. And little Louie. Wait. What age do you recommend commencing commence training with a trainer? So if you want to do training with a puppy, Rachel, I would say as soon as you get your puppy. If you're wanting to do a trainer because you've never had a dog, or if you're having problematic issues, as soon as you can. And Laura's doing a lot of Zoom sessions at the moment, so online training just to at least get people started before the hands-on stuff is available. But if you need help, reach out. Don't wait to see how it's going to go. It's probably the best word of advice. If there's anything that's kind of out of you.
I kind of liken, you've got problem behaviours where you're needing behavioural training to kind of rectify issues, or you're just looking at doing some general training for the fun of it, tricks and manners sort of training. But as soon as you can, and as soon as you can find the right trainer, I think that's something else we we're going to mention too earlier on, but finding a good trainer that you get along with and that you agree with the methods, and someone that's qualified in working with puppies as well. Unfortunately, especially in the puppy training industry, there's a lot of puppy schools out there that aren't necessarily run by trainers or qualified trainers. So definitely do your homework on who you're looking to get advice from as well. It's not a regulated industry, so do some research on who they are.
A lot of the ones that come through as sort of 8 to 12-month-old dogs are the ones that have been taught by people who are shop assistants, which in turn they haven't had a lot of the behavioural side of training, so it makes it really hard for them to actually teach puppies from that age. I mean, anyone can teach a puppy how to sit and stay, but we talk loads about the body language, which is so important. Like we've mentioned that a few times tonight, this body language. How does the dog feel? Why are they doing that? Why are they licking their lips? Why are their ears looking back? Why is their tail high? All of those kinds of things are what we touch on. And quite often during puppy school, I'll actually stop and say, hey, stop your puppy doing that right now. Don't let your kid pull the sleeve, because you're actually turning that sleeve into a tug toy. And I don't mean to single people out, but at the same time, in that moment, you've got to stop that behaviour. Otherwise, it's going to continue to happen. And people don't realise sometimes. So, yeah, if it's puppy, Rachel, then absolutely get on top of it now. My puppy classes have actually designed for up to 6 months of age, and I've got one that's 24 weeks, so it's nearly 6 months. And she's going really well, and they're absolutely loving the course. So it just goes to show, like the home courses are beneficial because the whole family can get involved. Whereas when we come out of COVID, you're only going to be allowed to have one trainer in a group. Like there's no way you're going to have the whole family there training with a dog. At least with the sessions now, they can all sit down, they can all get on the same page and do the same thing. So that's what I'm really enjoying about that. And if you engage with someone one-on-one as well, make sure that they do have the opportunity to catch up with you later as well. So I've pretty much said, no, I'm not going to do online Zoom to anyone that I can't see afterwards, because I want to make sure that I can follow up with them and go and see them and help them, and, go and help them with their progress and fit the right gear and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I've been the same too, and especially if they sort of live far away, I'm probably linking in with people more local to their area, because you don't want to just start and see all these people for one Zoom session and then find that you can't give them that ongoing support. Correct. So if you're unsure, like if you're having issues and you're in an area out east or north or somewhere where I don't service, feel free to get in touch, and then I can link you in with someone that I can highly recommend and have had positive feedback from, and I know personally, so that you can get a really good ongoing relationship with that trainer. And then once we're post-COVID, you can link in with whatever their school programs are for group courses or one-on-one, because I'd rather you get that consistent support and build that relationship with a local school than starting with me and then I can't follow through. So
yeah, especially behaviour stuff. I mean, for the puppy school, not so much. Like, I've got people down in Mornington, and I've also got people down as far as Geelong, and you know, I've no contacts in both areas, so it's been quite handy because they've actually asked the question, would you recommend a dog walker and who would you recommend, and blah blah blah. So we know people all around Melbourne, Victoria, country, you know, people, trainers get up and move out to country or go to a different spot all the time. So, you know, just reach out. Just because we don't live there doesn't know we don't know someone there. So all right, I think that's it. There's loads of thank yous.
Yeah. And I think Jeff said hello, and Toshi sends hugs. I haven't seen Toshi for so long, and I miss him. He's a client from very, very long ago, and I miss my big Toshi, beautiful Shiba Inu. Teddy boy.
Gorgeous.
I miss that boy. I miss all you dogs. I just need to cuddle people's dogs when this COVID.
Ernie's stinky at the moment, so.
Oh, I'm still cuddling. I love him.
Well, I think that was it. We just didn't touch on equipment. We could do that another week, but hopefully everyone who watched and joined in actually picked some stuff up, and you know, we're here to help. We're not, you know, we're nice girls.
Have our moments. Although Bennett rolled vomit yesterday, I wasn't too nice to him. No,
you vomited.
No, Benny rolled in vomit yesterday.
Oh,
I can't cuddle him. Yeah. I wasn't feeling too nice about that. The day after I bathed him too.
Oh, he would have hated that.
That was not nice.
Don't they love water though? Isn't that part of their thing? Don't the Porties love water? Or they're just called water dogs?
No, they're water obsessed. Yeah, but he's not a fan of being bathed. He likes water when he chooses to go in water and swim, but he doesn't like his pamper sessions. But anyway, even the trainers' dogs are cheeky. They still roll in vomit. They're still dogs. They're still disgusting.
Yeah. Ernie's rolled in poo before, but yeah. Anyway, that's disgusting.
Nice.
Guys, we really appreciate if you jump over and check out our pages as well. So Laura Mundy, professional dog training, or is it just Laura Mundy dog training, isn't it? Loosely.
Yeah.
Are you doing any lives lately? You've got anything coming up?
Me, just solo? No. I should come up with some more therapy dog stuff, topics and things like that. If anyone wants to see anything, let me know. I'm happy to run some, but I just like chatting to you, Jazz. It's just easier to talk to someone else rather than just look at myself, talking at myself. It's weird. It's kind of easier.
Also, guys, if anyone wants to come on screen next week as well, I've also got the option of adding more people on. So if there's anyone out there that does want to jump on and, you know, ask a few questions or show us your gorgeous puppies, we'd love
that
to.
Could be fun. Yeah, get a co-host that can.
Yeah, well, shoot us a message and then I can definitely add you in. And, you know, if you say something wrong, I'll just delete you. But I'm sure you won't. All right, guys, thanks so much for your time. Have a great week and we'll see you soon.
See ya.
See you, Laura. Bye.